Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in with us today. I'm Jackie, I'm one of the team members at the West Cook Homeownership Center, and with us today is Baxter Swilley. He is our Public Relations and Legislative Director. How you doing today, Baxter?
Hi Jackie, I'm doing well. How are you?
That's good. I'm doing great. What are we talking about today?
We are talking about housing quality, we're talking about landscape, land use policy, all on the west side. There are a lot of challenges facing the housing community, but I think we have some solutions to the challenges that we're facing. So I think it's going to be an interesting conversation today.
That's great, and that's important to us as the West Cook Homeownership Center primarily works with the residents of Austin or people looking to buy homes in Austin. So what are we learning about?
Well, here's what I think the audience probably needs to take note of today, Jackie. The first thing is we are introducing a large-scale housing project that is going to provide mixed-income housing opportunities for Austin residents. And the problem, the problem kind of is the solution. So we're finding that when you introduce new affordable housing opportunities, what you find is often people who live outside of the community want to come in and take advantage of new construction housing. And eventually you find that there's some gentrification.
Right.
And that kind of gentrification usually ends up pushing the people who live in the community out.
Yeah.
And what we get is a new community of perhaps speculators. And it's a common phenomenon in the city of Chicago, so
definitely
we're concerned about it. I'll speak to this image a little just so that our audience can really get a feel for it. LIHTC is the low-income housing tax credit, and it's a development tool to help pay for affordable housing projects. The problem is in low-income communities, it tends to increase property values by a whopping 6.5%. That's a really big deal, Jackie, because, you know, that kind of property value increase comes with property tax increases, which usually puts people who have owned their homes through generations. You know, that person may have inherited a building or a home. They don't necessarily, they can't necessarily afford a 6.5% increase in the property taxes, which is kind of a big deal. And then there are two parts. The first part, in lower income areas, housing prices appreciate substantially over time in response to affordable housing projects. However, in areas where affordable housing projects are an amenity, like Austin and the west side of Chicago, higher income households are willing to pay more for proximity to those projects. So essentially what we're saying is the people who live closest to these projects sometimes don't get to enjoy them. The people who live further away are attracted to new construction, high quality housing. They can afford it, they can afford to move, they can afford to make the investment, and there you have it. It's what I call the gentrification 1-2 punch.
Right, and that's a concern for the Austin community.
That's a huge concern for the Austin community. I grew up in Maywood. My family is from the west side, so it is kind of personal to see that the community could be changing in ways that are not beneficial to the people who live there.
Right.
Yeah. So.
All right, well, let's keep talking about it. So you were talking about, like, this problem that's kind of creeping in more and more, and especially with these housing development projects coming to Austin.
Yes. And the lose-lose scenario is something that the West Cook Homeownership Center is observing in their Saturday housing counseling courses. And that lose-lose scenario is we're finding that a lot of families they'll come to the courses on second Saturday, but they're not ready to buy because of the high interest rates.
That's right.
We got inflation. We have housing prices that are being inflated because of supply chain problems. Particularly soft lumber wood is hard to come by. I read a statistic that said the price of soft lumber wood is increasing the price of a new home by about $14,000 to $15,000.
That's very significant.
That is significant.
Yeah.
And that's not the only commodity that's driving up prices. So what we're finding is there's an increase in housing cost. We have inflation, interest rates are high, and it's making it so that community residents don't want to go in the market right now to buy a home.
Right.
But that's what we do at the West Cook Homeownership Center.
Yes,
we
it
help
is.
families buy homes. The second part is residents are also selling their homes for less than what they're worth, less than the asking price.
Right.
And so not only are they losing their home, they're losing wealth because they're not getting properly compensated for it. It's a big problem. It's what I call a lose-lose scenario.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a big problem because a home to so many people is their greatest wealth asset.
Absolutely. And that's probably true for low-income, moderate, and high-income people. You know, a house is the most important asset you can own.
Right.
Especially for generational wealth.
Right.
So, I'll speak a little to this slide here. The community may be losing some of its assets to speculators, and the vacant buildings, the abandoned buildings, vacant lots are all driving down what used to be a very hot housing market. You'll see in this slide that 25 homes were sold under 30 days. That used to be somewhere around, almost all the homes are selling under 30 days. So the time on the market has an impact on price. The longer it's up there, the longer people can see that other buyers are not interested in paying for it. The market responds to that kind of delay. And people, if it's up there for a while, usually what happens, you have to bring down the price.
That's right.
So 25 homes were sold under 30 days, 10 homes were sold in 30 days, 30 to 90 days. 60 days is a lot of time on the market. And then as you can see, a few were sold after 90 days, and that's significant.
Right.
And this is what I was referencing earlier, Jackie. It's not just about selling your home, it's selling your home for less than it's worth.
Right.
Which is, it's a lose-lose scenario. 11 homes are sold over asking price, but as you can see, of the 40 some odd homes that were sold in Austin, 28 were sold at or below asking price. And that's
the
not
majority, yeah.
Yeah, that's not a good rate.
No.
In my opinion, I feel like this all starts with vacant land and buildings. In the Austin community, we have about 215 acres of vacant land. That's almost 5% of all of the land in the community. 200 acres of open space, 4.4% of land use. And then 13% of all housing units are vacant. And that's not good.
No.
People should know that if you have almost 9% of open space, 4.7% open land, 4.4% open space, essentially what's happening here is if close to 10% of the land is open and unused, it is going to be developed by someone.
Right.
A speculator, a developer, a wealthy investor, someone is going to come in there and do something with that open space. And so what we need to focus on is ensuring that the development that we do is consistent with the character of the community. It contributes and benefits to the well-being of the people who live there.
Right.
And it's shaped by what those people want to see
Yes,
in their communities.
that's critical.
363 currently owned vacant lots by the city of Chicago in the Austin community. That's a lot.
That is a lot. That's very much a lot. Yeah, so you mentioned that whatever gets developed there should be contributing to the community, and oftentimes it sounds like when an outside investor or speculator comes in, that might not be their primary concern, which leads to the disinvest or continued disinvest, or maybe not disinvestment, the continued struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, rarely do they care about, the community and people who live there. And that's okay. They're there to make money.
Right.
But it's our job
To ensure it contributes to the community, that the
That's right.
community is one of the beneficiaries of that development.
hold developers accountable. And as far as I can see, Jackie, it's an uphill battle. It's one of those struggles where it requires a collective, coordinated, collaborative model where everybody has to be pulling in the same direction in order to make a difference.
Right.
And, that kind of brings me to this poll that we found on niche.com about Austin community public opinion regarding the quality of housing and land available for development. And, there's some interesting numbers here. 9% of residents say the exterior quality of homes is good or excellent. I mean, 9% that's really low.
Yeah, that is low.
That's really low. 4% of residents say the interior quality of homes is good or excellent. So, presumably, what this poll is saying is the inside of the homes are worse than the outside of the homes. And we know that the outside of the homes in Austin is not where it needs to be.
Right.
How do we know that? We know that because Austin is almost entirely in what we call a conservation area. Conservation areas are those areas where at least 50% of the housing structures are 35 years or older, built sometime in the early 90s or 80s or that sort of thing. And there has to be some obsolescence, there is some dilapidation, there is some deterioration, and there's blight. And that's what makes up a conservation area. This opinion poll is reflecting the fact that Austin is almost completely in a conservation area where 50% of the housing stock is old and failing. But I think the number here that's probably most significant is 46% of residents say there are a few vacant or abandoned properties here and there. Now, it's not here and there.
Right.
And there's not a few. We just saw that. you
Right.
know. So I appreciate niche.com doing this poll, but clearly, of all of the questions these respondents could respond to, this is the most significant. 46% say that vacant and abandoned properties are a real problem.
Right. And in regards to the quality of homes, the interior and exterior, that's why we had the Austin Rising program running for a bit, to contribute to people who were homeowners or property owners who were renting out to people so they could improve the quality of the housing, the inside and outside, make some renovations.
Yeah, I'm just so proud of the fact that the West Cook Homeownership Center can take ownership of the Austin Rising program, which helps so many property owners improve their housing stock and also helped a lot of families with down payment assistance to be first-time home buyers. Those kinds of targeted, localized housing improvement programs actually make a difference in low-income communities often.
And we're proud to be able to be a part of that for many families in the Austin community.
Me too. Very proud. So I guess this begs the question, are some communities better off renting? And I guess, that's a discussion we can have. I mean, Jackie, what do you think? I mean, rent seems to be at a more affordable rate these days. After the pandemic, while folks are still struggling to get back to work, maybe their credit isn't there, or maybe they're not employed at all. So perhaps renting is a better situation. I don't believe so. I mean, what do you think?
I think at the West Cook Homeownership Center, we value renting because we know for many it's either the option they prefer, their only option, or a step that they need to take in order to achieve their future goal of homeownership. So that's why we like to assist people who are renting and seeking homeownership. So I can't say that it's better, but we do value homeownership more, as we know that's something that can be passed down, like you said, generationally. That might be somebody's greatest asset, and we want people to have that. We want people to be able to pass on that generational wealth, to have something that of that much value that assists them throughout their life and their family's life.
Right. I do appreciate that we did both. We help with rental assistance and we helped with mortgage assistance. And the balance of rental versus homeowner in Austin is right around 60-40. 60% renter, 40% homeowner. So it would make sense that there will be more interest in the rental assistance programs that we were facilitating. And perhaps fewer people would be interested in the mortgage assistance, obviously because fewer people own homes or condos. However, I believe that in order to stabilize a community, people need to have a stake in the property and in the land, which means they need to own it.
Right.
And if they own it, then they'll probably fight for it.
Yeah.
Do whatever's necessary to improve it. So it's not just about family and personal wealth building. It's also about community wealth building and the preserving the integrity of the community. If you gotta rent, you gotta rent.
Right.
If that's all that you can afford, and if you're struggling with credit debt management, we can help.
Yes.
The Housing Center and the West Cook Homeownership Program can help with that. But what we really want is for people to own homes.
Yes, that's true. And what we saw from an earlier slide, there are so many homes open or abandoned or just not housing anyone currently in Austin. And so for those homes that are capable and in a good place to be housing someone, we'd like to help people who want to move into them, move into them. And as you said, we help people take those steps financially if they're not ready right now because of maybe credit or debt situations. We help get them to a place where they can be.
Absolutely. Well, so here's the thing. I just pulled this slide from online, and we can see that Chicago, the metro area, is a destination. And this is only showing national big cities where people are moving from to come to Chicago. This is basically a search flow ranking. So for the most part, people in Denver are searching to move to the Chicagoland area.
That's kind of interesting.
Isn't that interesting? I don't know why anyone from Los Angeles would want to leave, all that beautiful weather to come to Chicago.
Right.
So clearly, we have good Americans who want to live in different parts of this beautiful country. And there's nothing that makes me more proud as a Chicagoan than the fact that this is a destination for other people. I've always kind of wanted to live someplace warmer, but Chicago's got a lot to offer, clearly. The question is, when these people come, do the families who have deep, long-term roots in these communities, Chicago communities, do they get to stay?
Right. And we'd like them to. We'd like the people who want to stay. We'd like the community to be enhanced by people from across the country moving into the city.
Mm-hmm. But what we're finding is, and everyone knows about this, there is an out-migration from Chicago. And I think what we're learning is when Chicagoans are searching for other places to go, they're looking for price.
Right.
I think what most regular Chicagoans, Illinoisans for that matter, don't realize is Illinois is the highest tax state in America.
Right.
Sales tax, gas tax, property tax, you name it. You pull it all together, this is a very expensive place to live. And that's why you see our sort of Chicago neighbors moving to places like South Bend, Indiana.
Right.
Or, Wisconsin. These places are not necessarily, the most popular places in the country, but I think Chicago residents, particularly low to moderate income Chicagoans who have the professional mobility, they are leaving looking for a less expensive lifestyle.
Understandably so.
Very much understandably so.
Yeah. But that's why much of what we do at the West Cook Homeownership Center revolves around assisting people financially, whether, as you said, it's through rental assistance, mortgage assistance, or just helping them improve their credit. And that's why we're really grateful to be awarded some assistance from the Community First Housing Counseling Resource Program from FHL Bank of Chicago. This goes to support our classes that we offer people, the one-on-one homeownership counseling that we do at the West Cook Homeownership Center. And so that's going to support, for example, our second Saturday homebuyer class. This is a virtual class available the second Saturday of each month. As we are coming to the end of 2022, we only have one class available for the remainder of the year. That is our November class. And so it starts at 9 a.m., goes to 4 p.m., and this is for anybody looking to purchase a home. It doesn't have to be, immediate. Maybe you're just considering this as something you want to take on in the following year or 2 years. But you get the opportunity to learn about your options for down payment assistance. You learn about who you're going to be working with during the home buying process. And you get to work with the housing counselors. So they'll work with you one-on-one to discuss what your goals are, what your situation is, how many people are you trying to house when you purchase a home. And this is something you can register for online, or you can go ahead and call our office at 773-887-5187. And what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say that if there's only one more class left, we should really, we're gonna make sure that everybody has an opportunity to get into that class. It's a virtual class, so I suspect we could have a good group of people on. You should really take this opportunity to learn as much as you can about the home buying process. Mm-hmm. It's the last class that we're doing this year. We want as many people in that class as possible, and even if you're not ready, take the class. Get enrolled, go to this registration link, and seriously, take the leap.
Yeah.
You would be surprised what programs are available to help you, even if you have bad credit, even if you probably don't have the money for a down payment. Mm-hmm. There are down payment assistance programs, and we share all that information in the class, Jackie.
Yes. Yeah, we do. So, and it really is for everybody. It's a free class. You might not think that you are able to buy a home, or you might not see that as a realistic goal, but it is, really. It might take some time, it might take some work, but maybe it'll take less than you think, and that's what the housing counselors are here for. We also offer a credit and debt management class, and again, we'll have one at the end of October and one at the end of November. And this is for people who maybe don't have credit currently, or they have poor credit and they're looking to improve it. The housing counselors work with you one-on-one. They'll even be able to give you a credit score that does not affect your credit, and so you can see kind of your credit history as well. Learn what you have to pay off, maybe what still needs to be done to improve that. And this can be done if you're looking to purchase a home, or if you just need to improve your credit for another purchase like a car, or you just want to get your credit better for an apartment you're renting or something like that. This is a class that's free. You can register online, and this is a shorter one. It's 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on the fourth Saturday of each month. So we got one at the end of this week, and we have one at the end of November.
Awesome.
And this is something that is not a program of ours, but it is something we are encouraging people to seek assistance with. It's the Cook County Legal Aid for Housing and Debt Program. This is for anybody who is in need of legal assistance because of an eviction, a foreclosure, or a debt issue. You can go ahead and call the hotline that they have. Someone will speak to you. It's 855-956-5763, and see if they can assist you with whatever issue you're facing with.
You know, I think we should say that number again. It's 855-956-5763. You can go there and get free legal aid, not just for housing, but also, you know, if you have debt to the IRS, you have credit card debt, you know, these people are lawyers, they are accountants, they are experts in the whole sort of debt management space.
Yes.
And they help people hurdle the barriers to home ownership.
They do.
And they give you a lot of direction and resources, information to sort of realize the American dream.
Yeah. So hopefully these resources will be helpful to you. We hope to see you at our classes that are coming up. And I really appreciate all the information that you shared about our Austin community, Baxter.
Sure, you bet. You know, Jackie, it's always a pleasure. You can find us on CAN TV. You can also go to our website at oprhc.org.
Yep, or you can visit our West Cook site directly at westcookhomeownership.org. You can give us a call if maybe you want to check in on some of the things we talked about. Our number is 773-887-5187.
This is great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jackie. I appreciate
Thanks, Baxter.
you taking the time.
Yeah, it was a great conversation.